Thank you for watching here on YouTube at Blooming Light at Blooming's Tribe. And if you don't know who I am, I invite you to look in the description as well as all the videos and links and yada yada. Okay, so it's already clear and established, and my son and myself, we are targeted individuals and for different reasons. Okay, and this thing gets very convoluted, but the more you start to heal and align and take out time and observe and investigate and study, and the more you dig into it, the more you see how complex and insidious it is. So I wanted to take the time to talk about in terms of this physicality, okay? Because we all know that there are limitations to this plane of existence, especially in the Western Hemisphere, okay, in terms of the judicial system. So the targeted individuals, especially as a social media content creator, now this is where it's getting very dicey, and so I pulled this up and you all can play with that and make, adjustments accordingly. But what I find fascinating, you know how on TikTok you'll have somebody come on there and it's like, boom, community, submit, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But they fall. This is the part that I am calling out and that I am giving full intention to get, some things made right. It be the very people that falls under the category of where it says cyber stalking, repeatedly monitoring someone's online activity. Okay. And I'm going to add is even if they're not, some of them will say things or make threats, but others is just to get information and have their presence made known. Okay. And then it talks about like sending messages and comments and threats. I've definitely received that on my platform, but what really quantifies that? Where's the fine line between, if you're a content creator, you have the right to creatively share. And if you are a targeted individual, you have a right to share that. So see where I'm saying where it gets dicey? Because the stalkers are stalking your social media if you are a content creator. Okay, they're doing it for various reasons. Some of them just to be nosy, make their presence known, steal, one thing and another. Okay, some of them, like I said, on my platform, I've definitely, I cut off the comments so nobody can see stuff right now, but I can. There's a feature that the content creator can. They can go in and see all the comments that are there. Okay, and they can approve them. And I did that on purpose, maybe a couple years ago, for such a time as this. Now, where do they draw the line between stalker and stalky? Which come first, the chicken or the egg? Because again, as you all are seeing some of these definitions here, it says repetitively monitoring. But everybody bypassed that part, huh? Repetitively monitoring someone's online activity. That is under the example of harassment. But what they will try to do, targeted individuals, that when you all do see this video, because I'm not consenting and or communing and exchanging energy with the very ones in which are the violators who try to then obstruct justice in their favor by doing the very things that they accuse us of. Videoing us, taking pictures as we are evaluating the crime scene, that type of thing. Getting caught doing that. So Back to the social media, though. It's complex in the Western Hemisphere in the United States. We see, if we're honest, this is why the whole shit may go, this may get real interesting at some point, because if any of us are honest, we see all kind of vile, vulgar shit every day. People clowning people, man, I done seen motherfuckers, you know, busting it, you know, people cheating and just totally, I done seen all kind of stuff, and they still, it's crazy. Where's the fine line? Remember, target individual, they are always exploiting. What have we learned about these community organized criminal enterprises, no matter how small or large? What have we learned? They exploit their what? Power, leadership, resources, knowledge. They are hypocritical, meaning that they don't uphold their standard, but they look for ways to pin you for the things that they do as you investigate what they're doing to you. That is the retardation of the system as we know it. When you have a system that refuses to do their part, and they patronize you and condescend you as if you don't know what you're talking about, if you cannot provide any proof. But if you provided proof, then the proof you've provided is said to be something that is illegal to do. Or I can't really say maybe illegal. I mean, we'd have to look maybe a little bit deeper, but in some cases, it's said to be illegal. So then where would that leave the targeted person to get any resolve? If the detectives and the individuals that are supposed to be hired to look into things to find out if, whether or not, if they refuse to do that based on lack of evidence, where do you get the evidence without violating the laws in which they're telling you, or the rules, depending on where you are at any given time, a public area, private property, yada, yada. See where I'm going with this thing? It's an oxymoron. So it's designed for failure. That's the way I feel. You can't do this, but we can't do this because you don't have that. But you can't do that, but we need you to have... Because some stuff is not... Here's where I'm going with that. There are incidences where you can get you some nice, crisp and clean, you know, it's rare. But when you're dealing with something that is methodical, in other words, professionally organized, manipulated, you know what I'm saying? They are operating from a space of trying to stay under the radar to the best of their ability while simultaneously doing the trash bag illegal shit that they are doing. Okay? So this is what I want to say with that. Continue to do what you've been doing. If you're hearing this video at some point, make your alterations and adjustments as you need. Remember, we're playing their game. Everything that they do is an attempt to get you out of character and an attempt to get you in the name of trying to help yourself in the name of trying to resolve, you know, and defend yourself and your family. Their whole thing is to, by way of that, get you caught up in something. Because it's almost like they know what they're doing and they're trying to get a reaction so that they can just so happen to be video recording you or taking a picture, because they know what they're doing, they know what they did. You see that? So it's going in alignment with the discussion I had the other morning, or whenever I had it with y'all, where I said, you know, getting to that gray rocking, mastering, working on that, but also getting as methodical as they are. That's the way this world operates. That's the way this plane of existence, that's the way the Western Hemisphere, that's the way the United States of America is. And until we command and co-create on a collective scale of light beings, until that, you know, we will be navigating it accordingly. I believe it's going to be successful. I believe it already is. But I also believe it's going to take tweaking along the way. Remember, about, for some of you that as you come on here, you've been following me for some time, and if you have, then you, maybe 6 months or so ago, you could have heard me say something like, learn from them without becoming them. Learn from them without losing your humanity. Learn from them without letting it take away from the core essence of you. Learn from them and execute such actions in the name of honorable justice. Because there is a time and a place for everything. Some of you, if you're a history buff, and if you were somebody, depending on your age range, if you were somebody that was into like the Black Panthers, the Muslims, the whole movement, Muhammad Ali, you know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and the differences there. And as I look back, I actually got respect for all of that to a degree, because it's like, to me, there's a time and a place where you can do this whole, can we all just get along, kumbaya, you know, there's a time and a place for that. But when a body of beings make it perfectly and painfully clear that they're looking at that as a sign of weakness, and that they have no interest in honoring and respecting you, but only appeasing you, then I could see where the Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying, side came in. I see the balance is there, and I believe that for targeted individuals, it's a little bit of the seesaw, proverbial seesaw effect, constantly tweaking as we need to, and every now and moment adjusting to when we need to lean more into the kumbaya, can we all just get along, kind of more do nothing except for stand on your truth, and you know, and then there's a time of, yeah, but if you don't do something, the bullies are going to keep bullying. If you don't show them that you're going to give them the fight of their life and that you will win, it's that kind. It just depends on what we're dealing with. Because most harassers, most bullies, most people who have it in for you, most people who are involved in these criminal rings or just toxic friend groups and whatever, they're stalking you and then they become offended. See, this is why I'm saying, where do we find the fine line? I said this earlier. They're stalking you, then they get offended. But who told them to start watching you? Who told? This is the thing that I feel like needs to be highlighted, because it's, to me, it's kind of the energy of now, if let's say they had a platform, let's say that our stalkers had their own platforms. Okay, I'm trying to explain this the best I can. Let's say that they have their own stuff, right? And let's say we then decided to kind of continue to monitor their platforms and then continue to kind of go on there and steal and spread rumors about their stuff, and using fake profiles to make comments. See, then I would be saying, so we are then doing the same thing, because we are infiltrating a space in which they have created for themselves, much like we have created a space and place for ourselves. Oh, he said, oh, okay, hold on. Oh, well, there's, uh, uh. Hold on, doo. I don't know if it's gonna come back on or not. Ah, well, I guess it did come back on. I don't know. It's hard to tell, doo. How long it's gonna stay on? Hence, generators. Um, is it back on in there in your room? It's back on right now. Okay. So, fun. Oh, there's the security cameras talking. So, but again, do y'all see what I'm saying? I feel like this something needs some revisions in this thing here, because social media, none of us have to like be on other people's social media. But I do believe that there needs to be a limit, yes, right? Okay, a limit if you're naming names, because like to me, there's certain things that maybe should be drawn to a degree. Okay, to a degree. But the targeted individuals, they do the things they do because people have silenced them. No one will hear them. And everywhere they go, everywhere they turn, they're being patronized. Looked at like like they are an idiot or something. And so the social media becomes the space where they get to have a voice that the system keep trying to suppress. The legal system, the government system, all the ways in which long before they had their social media content, or long before they decided to heal out loud, that they've attempted to go all these portals to no avail. And so for a lot of the targeted population, it is the way they're going to be heard one way or the other worldwide. If people refuse to take them seriously about what's happening to them. It's not, see, to me, it's all about intention. It's all about motivation. It's all about, whether or not something legitimately happened. Because yes, you have people out here just lying. Hell, the targeted population experienced that. I said this earlier. And the reason why I was oblivious is because I'm not a stalker. I wasn't monitoring these people's lives the way they've been monitoring mine. That's why you see it. So people be obsessed with you and your content and then get offended. See, this is going to expose some whole nother new level shit. Because it's like, who told them? If we going to deal with this, who told them? Why did they begin the journey of following you? What was their motivation for following you, looking at your content to begin with? And once they heard something that they didn't like, why did they continue? And I'm talking about people of age, of course. We can't really expect teenagers to have that kind of maturity. Because for me as an adult, Even to this day, when I scroll on something, if I'm offended by it, I don't necessarily report these people's videos. They are content creators, albeit vulgar, albeit whatever it is. But, you know, I don't report their videos. I make the executive adult call for myself and like, hey, Brandy, you don't have to look at this person's stuff. You don't even have to have it come into your feed, your For You page. You can block this individual or whatever. You can decide that I don't like this content creator. I find their content offensive. I find that it is abusive, or I find that it's insensitive, like whatever. And you can decide, say, that's just not something I'm going to ingest. And as a result, I'm not putting myself in a situation to be constantly fucking annoyed or to be feeling some kind of way because of it. Because see, here's the real deal. I believe that here's the truth, even though people are trying to hide it under the guise of this is harassment and malicious communication. Okay, is the fact of the matter is they are trying to figure out how much of the shenanigans of what they have been doing to you do you know. They get offended by the accuracy. They get bothered because their visual there's a mirror. There is an energetic mirror, and they get activated by that. Then they want to turn it into, they want to reverse Uno, reverse draw. You know, they want to do then they want to do that, talking about this is harassment. Ma'am, sir, may we ask, is there somebody who told you to continually watch this content creator? May we ask, can we? Because it sounds like you're being tortured by it, and maybe some stuff ain't even referencing you personally, but the reason why you feel like it is because that's a part of your character on some level. So even if that content creator is referencing a general collective, even if that content creator is referencing on a broad, but because it is your energy and you know who you are and what you're about, and it bothers. See, that's the questions that needs to come up in these so-called sophisticated ass higher level meetings. That needs to come out. People were saying vile shit about me for the longest, and they still are. And guess what? I don't care. Do you hear it? Can you hear it? They've been doing it. And as wrong and unfair and inaccurate as a lot of the stuff is, unfortunately, in some way, they have a right to create. See how I did that right there? I don't have to like it, but see, we talk about the double standards and hypocrisy. I can't say I'm an advocate for liberty and freedom and justice for all. I can't say it in good faith that I stand for that for all, whether or not they are my friend or in my group, in my clique, my posse, my whatever. I believe that that is something to be extended, even if it's something different than me. That's maturity, though. Just because I don't like a population of people, that's not they shouldn't have the same rights as I do make. If I want to advocate for being able to express myself freely, and that's the problem I have with religion, but that's another video. Because it's like, but because you was you wants to call all the people, and it's wrong. That's a double standard. That is hypocrisy at its worst. I could argue the dangers of religion. They can argue the dangers of spirituality. It's called confirmation bias. At the end of the day, if we are of certain ages, that's something that needs to be talked about on a grand federal scale. We should not be responsible for other people's mental health past a certain age, in that you'll never be able to do and say anything if it's this delicacy of people's struggles. As an adult, we should be responsible for that. Listen, somebody who deals with CPTSD, you're listening to somebody who has complex post-traumatic stress. That is a result of a long extension of abuse and trauma. Okay? Trust me when I say I get it, but I'm still responsible as an adult. If I'm fragile and delicate, I might not need to be listening to certain things. That's a call I need to make as an adult woman, knowing that I have CPTSD. Okay, knowing that I'm gonna go here, knowing that I have CPTSD, knowing that I have an adult, differently abled son that comes with its challenges and its beauties, knowing that, you know, what my whole dynamics is and all of the burdens and the complexities of that is still my responsibility as it pertains to the social media world. If I'm bothered by something that is taking me into my wounds or triggers, it's my responsibility to make the call and say, dear, you know you deal with CPTSD, you know you're trying to lower the cortisol, this and this and that. Why are you going to continue to listen to this content creator who clearly hates you? Why are you going to continue to go look for your haters' pages and then sit there and fucking hate watch for 5 hours? You are not balanced. Click off, Blooming. Click off. Click off of it. Click off of it. There's no magic gun out the sky in the rooms saying you must hate watch your haters' platforms to see what they're saying about you so that you can figure out a way to trap them up, and now you're becoming the weirdo stalker person, because they have a right to first and foremost express their life's opinions about the things in which they're experiencing with the people and the world around them. It's almost like the bullies of the world are being mad because people are able to have a voice, and now they want to reverse Uno, backspace, you know what I'm saying? Now they want to, because they're used to being able to silence victims and corner victims and shut them up, and they just die off in the woods and nobody will ever know the otherwise. Like they've been used to being able to just do that. And it's like, so they're deciding the very things in which they've been exploiting and character defaming and all of those things on these targeted populations. Now all of a sudden they want to be like, they're harassing me. Why? Because they're looking into what you're doing to them. I just gave you all a case in point. I shared what happened with the dirty diaper fiasco that has happened for the second time around. Okay? I share that for a reason, because people don't believe you. When communities have gotten people convinced that you're not to be believed, or you're just, somebody crazy or somebody making up stuff, so you're like, no, we're not going to do that. That you're putting shit on your own shit. You know what I'm saying? People try to imply all kinds of stuff. And as you have the right to, because it's kind of like the whole, fatal attraction, single white female, like shitting people, the rabbit, the boiling rabbit, and shit. It's like, that's weird and creepy. That's creepy behavior. And you would have the right, I shouldn't say the right, I'm trying to change my verbiage. You are worthy and deserving of defending and protecting you and yours, which includes evaluating the scene. Because you got some rando dirty diapers, so who's creeping around here? When you're trying to evaluate what are the plausibilities of the wind delivering the trash bags, what are the plausibilities of some rando that doesn't live over here deciding they're walking on the sidewalk, deciding to come all the way that far away through the grass to dispose of a diaper bag that they could dispose anywhere, everywhere as they're walking. You see what I'm saying? Like you try to evaluate those plausibilities, and they have the audacity to call themselves I'm gonna take a picture and video record them walking over here. Right, that's actually gonna end up not helping you. Because again, if you're the one that was on the receiving end of something weird, like I've expressed and shared, and you are trying to work it out, you're trying to methodically think about it and look at the scene and evaluate it from all angles and really just see, that would include, you got to walk around the perimeter. You got to see, you got to look up, look at the levels, the stories, look at, the building structures, and like, okay, what's the plausibility of this? Just, when you're a logical person, because now for us, taking pictures and video recording us don't make us uncomfortable no more, honey. We didn't have people doing this to us since before we even knew people was doing it. We didn't have shit. We didn't have people doing humiliation rituals, taking pictures of us when we looking, busted and disgusted. You know what I'm saying? When we going through or sick or whatever. We didn't have people doing. We don't care. That's the beauty of stepping into your authenticity, and it's also the beauty of the not give a fuck. When you then threw away trying to impress people, you don't even care. Because you grow up, you realize most people out here talking shit most of the time about people because they're insecure. Most of the time. To get the attention off of their miserable selves and all, so that they don't have to really address themselves, and they can keep that focus off, and nah, look at them, look at, that kind of energy. They look busted and disgusted. They don't look nothing like how they be looking. Who cares? Half of Hollywood don't be looking nothing like they be looking if you were to ever actually roll up on any of their asses without a team of makeup artists. trainers, hairdressers and stylers and all this stuff, in which when you, that's life. It's called life. Looking for something to pick at. And for some of us collective, this, as it pertains to that, these are people who feel in some kind of way about some relationship that you are long out of. And, you know, I've been saying this, when some of these men start changing over the years, because again, feminines and these men go their separate ways. The very men that was talking shit and betraying them and plotting with these very energies. And all these people end up still getting all booty butt mad at the feminines, at the honorable feminines, for stuff that man, we're not home wreckers. You know, we have a story like everybody else when we were young, but most of the honorable feminines, the phases of life that they're in, they're not nobody's home wreckers. They're not out there like that. Unfortunately, these people put them in these situations. That's just the bottom line truth. Because they're not disclosing everything to her. Because it ain't like that. Feminines ain't here man hunting. They not out here a man eater looking for somebody else's husband, somebody else's fiance, somebody else's baby daddy. They don't build their esteem off of that. That's not their style, okay? Of what man can she take from somebody. They don't have a problem removing themselves as a factor, and unfortunately, it's still never enough. It's never enough. They want these men, feminines, move themselves out the way. They steal her creativity, her ideas. They try to morph into her and all sorts of stuff. Feminine says, have at it. You cannot be me, but go on ahead and do what you do. That's still not enough. It's like, this is why we talk mental illness, because it's like anything shy of her utter non-existence, they're not going to be okay, which should be a red flag of some serious undiagnosed mental illness.